about 5 days ago, I posted a video talking about Parallel TCG's play-to-earn system and how it's a pretty good time to get in. And it's still the case that Parallel TCG is really good play-to-earn. I'm making like 10 bucks a day right now, which is getting into Axie Classic territory. It's kind of like last cycle back before Axie Classic, before it collapsed. When people were playing Axie and making a lot of money, it kind of feels like Parallel's going that way. And so I wanted to do in this video was talk about the Earthen starter deck and show some improvements that you can make. I've got the whole starter deck here color-coded, and I can zoom in a little bit and make this a little easier. And basically, we can talk about what cards are good, what cards are bad, and then I've got my deck that I've been working with over here as well, and we can talk about what I'm running in this deck, what the differences are, and what you should buy. So we're going to go through all of that, and I've also got the deck loaded up in the game client, so we can look at some of the cards. We can pull them up nice and big. I'll read them for you. I know the text's a little hard to read. They're working on it. But yeah, the Earthen starter deck, what's going on here? What's good? What's bad? Well, first off, before we even look at the deck, let's actually briefly talk about should you run Earthen. So I want to be crystal clear. I don't want to drag you through this video, like drag you through and waste your time. Earthen is not the most cost-effective class to quickly farm play to earn with a minimum amount of other cards that you need. Like, this starter deck is pretty rough, and it's going to take a while. You're going to have to probably reinvest most of your winnings for the first 2 weeks to 4 weeks, I would say, at current rates to be able to really get the deck to a place where it's competitive. I haven't actually done this yet with the other classes. I've been so focused on Earthen, so I don't know if they're faster, but there's definitely a chance that Cathari and or Markolian might be faster. With that said, Earthen is really fun, and it's very strong if you do build up the deck a little bit, and it's not crazy. Like, my deck doesn't run any legendaries or anything. So let's look at this starter deck. First off, the good. You're getting some really strong cards. You're getting 3 Stewards of the Garden, which is one of the strongest cards in Earthen. That's the classic. At the start of your turn, gain 1 energy, 0/4 energy ramp. And then you've also got 3 Student of Shoshana. And we're not going to look at every single card, but we'll look at a few of these here. So this is a really good one. 2/2 for 2. After you play a unit, this unit gains +1/+1 and heal yourself for 1. Really, really good. So it keeps buffing up the more creatures you play, basically. The 1 copy of Cunning Diplomat is amazing. I mean, that almost pays for the deck. Cunning Diplomat is very, very good here. It's a 0/3 for 2. Muster, draw a card, and it also has Defender. You need Defender creatures to activate Nehemiah's ability, which is after the first friendly unit with Defender is destroyed each turn, another unit of your choice gains Defender, a friendly unit. And Defender is kind of like Frontline in Gods Unchained or Provoke, or, you know, it can block the opponent, gives you the ability to make them attack it. So the Cunning Diplomat is a premium card. You've also got 1 copy of Ephrath's Attendant, and that's another card that, much like Steward of the Garden, can ramp your energy. In the effect, you've got a full play set, 3 copies of Ceremonial Rites. That buffs all of your damaged creatures by +2/+2. It's very effective in certain situations. And you've also got a copy of Virulent Spores and Formidable Presence. Virulent Spores is your best AoE removal by poisoning the entire opponent's board, giving them all decay. And then Formidable Presence is one of your best win condition cards, letting you summon 3 indestructible 2/2 Blitzers. So you can do 6 damage to face right away. And they'll also defend you for a turn, which gives the card defensive applications. So it's definitely some good stuff. Now, the yellow are the cards that are okay. This is cards like Hired Gun, Doctor's Assistant, and Sower of Unrest, which are all medium stat line cards with, you know, middle tier effect or no effect. And so it's just kind of stat line creatures to play. They're fine. Grove Altruist has a pretty good stat line, but it's not very impactful on the board. Otherwise, it's a 4/7. Rhetorician, I think, is a 6/6, as well as having an effect that could occasionally come in handy. As far as the spells go, Change of Heart is pretty good. It gives a creature Pacifist, so you can give that to the opponent's creature. It can no longer attack. That's actually maybe almost a green. And then you've got the red. You've got Rain-Soaked Mourner. You've got Wizened Elder. These are just bad creatures. They don't synergize with your deck very well. They might work in other decks, but they're not really getting it done here. Infused Shaman, another one much like that. Like, a lot of these have Decay, and you just don't really want that. Shaymak Stone Eyes is a 10-cost card. It can be ramped down to a lower energy cost. Whenever you heal while it's in your hand, it gets one less energy cost. But I've tried it. It seems so potentially effective, and it just isn't. It just doesn't work. It's always 10. You never get to play it. It's just not good, you know? And then, like, collateral damage is just a bad effect. It destroys a relic, but there's better removal. Better removal for that. Supply and Demand, draw 2 for 4 is just a little bit too slow. Cape of Sharmahal is an upgrade that when the creature dies, it brings it back to life at full health. Problem is, there's too many ways it can get removed where it won't be activated or something. So you just, it's too much of a 2-for-1, basically. It's not good. And then Lifestream is a relic that really just isn't good. I mean, I think it might be intended to synergize with Shaymak Stone Eyes, but it's just not worth it at all. It's not good. And so what you really want to do when you start playing with this Earthen starter deck is you want to just get these red cards out of the deck as fast as possible and basically replace them with these, which are the most affordable cards from my deck that I'm running. So as you'll see, I didn't color code it because it would all be green, but this is my list, and it does share quite a few cards, right? So we're running 3 of those Stewards of the Garden, 3 Student of Shoshana's. I'm running 3 of those Cunning Diplomats. You have 1 of them in the starter deck. I have 3 Ephrath's Attendants, which you have 1 in the starter deck. I'm even running that full playset of Ceremonial Rites, that 1 Change of Heart. I've got 3 Formidable Presence and 3 Virulent Spores, so a lot of overlap on those cards. And then a bunch of stuff that's just insanely strong, but some of it's not affordable, right? So Primea Conduit is cracked. It is 1/1 for 1 shielded defender, and it has muster. Spend your remaining energy. This unit gains +1/+1 for energy spent. So if you spend 5 energy, it's a 5/5. If you spend 6 energy, it's a 6/6. Like, whatever you spend to cast it, it's that is its stat line. And the fact that it's got defender and shielded, which blocks 1 spell, it's just so powerful. So I've got that as well as the Grove Guardian, and this one even more maybe. 0/4 for 1 retaliate, deal 1 damage to a random enemy. That's just so strong. And if you can give this defender using the Hemia effects, you can turn it into a 4/4 at a certain point, and it just gets crazy. So the Grove Guardian is a lovely synergistic thing, or it's a good complement to the Steward of the Garden, because then you have multiple 0/4 creatures along with that 0/3 Cunning Diplomat, and it's a lot of good stuff you can give defender to, basically. One that is more affordable that you are going to want to get, it's in the buying section, is this, the Mercenary Gunslinger. 1/1 for 1 with the muster, deal 1 damage to any target. It's simple. It's pretty effective. That 1 damage ping is good enough that you can run it. If you draw it later in the game, you just bank it. So that's going to be one that you will run. But a lot of this deck is just running more copies of the best cards. A few other things that are completely new. The Black Market Fixer is awesome. I'm not sure what this costs now, but this is definitely one to keep an eye out. The 2/2 for 4 and the muster is destroy target enemy unit with cost 2 or less. Even though 2 or less is pretty restrictive, this is just incredibly helpful once or twice in a match when you really, really need to remove something and it's just got like big stats, like they ramped up a 1 or a 2 drop. This just yeets it. That's really helpful. We've also got the Mantis Corsair, a 4/4 muster, deal 3 damage to the enemy for 5. This is great because it just deals 3 damage to their face, and so you can just get that lethal if you're really close, but then they start to defend, like they have 1 or 2 health left or 3 health left. Boom, you play the Mantis and you're feeling pretty good because you won the game. And then Crew Boss is great. Keep an eye out for this. This one's not too expensive. I didn't recommend it in the next section, but you could keep an eye out for this. It's like 14 bucks per card. 4/4 for 5. Other friendly units have +1/+1. So we're running a lot of that stuff. And you'll notice, if I actually zoom out a little bit, that I'm not running any upgrades or any relics. I was running, what's it called? The shield. The 3-drop shield that gives +1/+4 defense. The Malachite shield. But I took it out. Upgrades just... You can get 2 for 1 pretty easily. You can get 2 for 1 pretty easily. I don't like that. You know, they can use 1 card to remove 2 of your cards. So I've been avoiding the upgrades for the most part. Like, Core has those good upgrades. Earthen seems like it has some good upgrades, but you really might not need it. And also notice that I'm running 12 1-drops. 12 1-drops, which is a lot. It's a lot of 1-drops because we're really trying to be aggressive. It's ironic for a deck that's built around the defender mechanic, but this is an aggro deck. And if you want to see it in action, you know, make sure you tune into a stream. Links in the description. I've been playing this pretty much every stream, doing my dailies, and trust me, we get really good aggressive openers. With that said, what should you actually buy? Once you have this, and you're getting your 5 wins a day, probably at low ranks, just like I did my first day back to Parallel when I lost like 10 games in a row. You know, you're going to be playing, doing your best, winning some Prime, and then you get those first Prime payments. It's time to buy stuff. What are you going to buy? So I'd recommend this list, especially these 4. So Mantis Corsair, very affordable. You could buy that first, $3. This is total, so 3 of these would be $3, like $1 per card. $3 for the full play set. You could replace the Stone Eyes and maybe the Infused Shaman right away. Just replace all the red cards in this list, pretty much. That's all you got to do. The yellows can stay for a long time. You get rid of the reds, you're on the right path. You want to get 2 more Ephrath's Attendants. I actually overcalculated this because you have 1 in the deck. So you want to get 2 more Ephrath's Attendants. That'll be $6. That'll increase your energy ramp. You do want to get a playset of Mercenary Gunslingers. That's that 1 damage ping, 1/1 for 1 creature we looked at. It's just too good. I just realized I've been calling them creatures the whole video, but they're units in Parallel. Oh, well, you know what I mean. It's $20 for the playset, but that's only like 2 days of play to earn, and I think that's super worth it because, man, those Gunslingers are really helpful. That extra ping is just what you need sometimes. And it's also a really good turn 1 play, especially going first, because you can ping the 0/2 second place defender guy, and then you can kill it by attacking it with the Gunslinger on your second turn, so it handles that. It's very solid. And then you really need to get these extra 2 Formidable Presence, because that is one of your best win conditions. If you're 6 damage away from lethal and you draw Formidable Presence, you now have lethal. You're good. And then 2 things that you don't really want, but you could buy them in the short term just to get more early game. This is kind of tough to think of, but like Artifact Appraiser is okay. You might see some artifacts, in which case it could be pretty good. But basically, Artifact Appraiser 1/2 for 1, just to get another 1-drop in the deck. Buy a playset of that. It's only $3 for the full playset. And then 1 hired gun is like $1 or $2, I'm pretty sure. You could add another hired gun. Those are just short term, like day 2, day 3 type of cards, just to make the deck a little more consistent as fast as possible. Now, these ones are quite expensive. Virulent Spores and Cunning Diplomats, but they're also kind of essential, especially Spores. Like, you're gonna need to get more copies of Virulent Spores, get to a full play set as fast as possible. You're either gonna need to hope for a good price on Echoes, which you can look up how that works. You can make copies of your NFTs by spending Prime after you've leveled them up. It's a limited thing, but you can do it, so that's one option. And then also, honestly, just make some friends in the Parallel community, and maybe eventually you'll get gifted something or you'll win a giveaway. Like, whatever it takes, just try to get Virulent Spores. I don't have a better answer, because, like, otherwise, just buy it, I guess, at whatever price it is. It's not going to be super cheap, but, like, that's eventually something you really want. I said at the beginning of the video that Earthen is not the absolute cheapest, but if you did, like, if it's, like, I don't know, maybe it's $60 or something, you could save up, you know, you just play and earn until you get it, then you buy it. Also, you can make offers. Like, the thing is, a lot of these cards aren't selling very often, so if the floor is like $70, but the highest offer is like 10, you could offer 20 or $30 and maybe get one. So, you know, there's a discussion to be had there, but yeah, the Spores are pretty essential. At least you have a 1 copy, and then likewise the Cunning Diplomats. pretty damn essential, but at least you have a copy of that to start as well. Maybe the cheapest way to get more is to buy the starter deck again, and then you get one more diplomat. I mean, the cheapest way to get this probably, honestly, is to buy 2 more copies of the starter deck, and you get 2 copies of spores and 2 copies of diplomats from those. Like, for $80, you could complete both of these play sets. So that's probably what I'd say. Or buy another 2 starter decks. Like, realistically, buying 2 more starter decks to get the second and third copy of spores and diplomats would be well worth it eventually. So, yeah. You know, Parallel, listen, it's not the cheapest game, but it's very rare for this level of play to earn to be, like, free to play, because that wouldn't make sense, because then it would get extracted and the price would get diluted, and it wouldn't work, right? Like, where everyone would earn less. Like, there's no way, right? Part of what makes it so valuable is probably the fact that you do have to spend some money to get some cards, or someone has to buy those damn cards. I think it's a great time for anyone who's play to earn focused. You know, you got to get into Parallel. So in this video, I broke it down for you. Earthen, super fun, and it seems like a really strong class. Definitely not the very cheapest, but still, I think it's worth it. And you could probably get pretty much the juiced up version of the deck within a month if you're diligent and you just play those dailies. I'm doing it. I'm not advising anything that I wouldn't do. You guys know I don't fuck around. So, all right. Hope that was helpful, and I'm going to get out of here. See you later. Bye-bye.